Now, it shouldn't be so shocking to anybody that more and more actors and actresses are beginning to turn their backs on George Clooney and are really pointing the finger at him as to why they lost in 2024. Now, yes, we do know that he played a role in that, but he was not the sole reason as to why they lost in 2024, right? We know that there's a lot of things going on right now between George Clooney trying to set up a series of interviews to either apologize or to either set the record straight or to share his side of the story. He's also really trying to double down on his agenda as well at the same exact time. He was already rejected by Bill Maher, The View, and many other different programs out there. The latest, however, has a lot to do now with Alec Baldwin calling out George Clooney in a very shocking way. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about all of this is that we know that George Clooney is pretty much one of the most criticized actors right now, and for valid points, to be honest. We know that he actually said the worst things possible about the general public. We know that he created a commercial that promoted lying to either your wife or husband. And at the same exact time, we also know that George Clooney is now getting rejected by multiple studios, has also been fired by multiple studios out there, including Warner Brothers, and focusing on Alec Baldwin, this is where things begin to really go out of control, is that we know that Alec Baldwin once believed in George Clooney, once believed that George Clooney was actually in the right place and was actually steering things in the right path, and now he's just beginning to also point the finger at George Clooney, the same exact thing that Sonny Hostin is doing, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, and many others out there like Bill Maher. So, with the entire media in Hollywood now going into panic mode after the backlash was too strong for them to handle, one significant development going on now involves both Alec Baldwin and George Clooney, after Baldwin recently trashed Clooney as he begins to also play the blame game like many other actors now are in Hollywood. Baldwin delivered the following: "Look, I think we need to face the facts here as to why we lost this year. We are dealing with an increasing amount of uneducated and misinformed citizens in our country, but it's not just that, but I will admit that one person, George Clooney, who I thought was the answer to how we could really win this thing, I think really just misled all of us and put us in a bad spot, and we need to start relying on those that have a platform and loyal followers, but only to those that have done their proper research." In Clooney's case, he obviously didn't do his research in politics on what was best for 2024, and it destroyed us. We got ourselves destroyed by listening to those like him, and it's one of the greatest regrets, because I believed in him. I thought he was the key to making things right, and it was the complete opposite. But one thing that we do need to fix is the education of our people, because so many, quite frankly, just know nothing about how anything works, or how the real world works at all. I think from this point on, Mr. Clooney should stay and flat out stay out of politics and leave it up to those that have the right background and knowledge to say what they have to say to the public, because I thought what he did, looking back now, was just not, of course, the right thing to do, and was irresponsible, but it was also detrimental to the outcome of this year's cycle. Do I think that he made a mistake? Absolutely not. I think that Mr. Clooney knew exactly what he was doing. He believed in everything that he was saying to the public, and that was his biggest downfall yet. Now, I thought he was doing the right thing for this country, but saying that, he said, of course, back in June, and it was one of the greatest downfalls that I have ever witnessed for an actor like him. But given that we are both in this business, I can say that he should learn to just stay out of politics starting now. Right now. Don't get involved in 28. Heck, don't even get involved in 2026. Personally, I don't want to see it, but focusing on the people, they need to educate themselves more. They need to learn to face the facts. It wasn't just because of Clooney, but it was also because of how foolish our country was for falling into the lies and the false promises that were being thrown out there of what will be delivered for the next 4 years. So guys, let me just stop here for one moment about what all Alec Baldwin is spewing again. Now look, Alec Baldwin has not been taking things well at all. In the past couple of weeks, we know that he's been going on this train of saying people are uneducated, people are misinformed, they don't know what they're talking about. Now, one thing is that he is the latest actor to really stab George Clooney in the back here, right? He is another actor that once believed in George Clooney. He was by his side. He believed in every word that he was saying, that he actually thought was the right thing. And now out of nowhere, he's saying that everything that George Clooney said and did was completely wrong. Now, like I said earlier, this is another example. This is just like Bill Maher. This is just like Sonny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar. I could go on all day about all these different celebrities, all these personalities, those in the media, etc., that have said the same exact thing, that are now doing a complete 180, and it just really goes to show you exactly how they are just hopping on the bandwagon. Now, to move on further, we know that Alec Baldwin is not taking things well at all, because his career is pretty much not doing hot at all, not just because of what happened with, of course, his whole lawsuit, but the backlash, of course, that went along with the comments that he made in recent weeks. So to top things off, he goes on to conclude, "I promise you, all those promises that were made will never come to fruition. And to those that also believe in Mr. Clooney's beliefs, I think they too need to be educated and seriously need to learn how politics work in this country, because we can't keep relying on those that know nothing about how the world works. That's how we got into this entire mess too, and I can only hope that we learn something in the next 4 years. Let's just cross our fingers on that one." So again, I mean, there he goes again, saying that it's all about, George Clooney specifically, but he's also saying that those that once believed in George Clooney also need to be educated. So he's also, throwing those people under the bus that were on his side. So it really just goes to show you how he's really not making much sense at all. He's all over the place. He's flip-flopping like crazy. Alec Baldwin, look, we know that he's right up there when it comes to those that are very insufferable in the Hollywood bubble. In the film industry, he's no different than Sharon Stone. He's no different than George Clooney. He's trying to distance himself from Clooney. That's what he's trying to do. There's no doubt about that. And it's not working at all in the least. And look, we know at the end of the day that a lot of these actors are going to begin to lose their jobs. We know that more and more studios are beginning to wake up. They're beginning to learn that the backlash, the pushback from the public, it's just way too strong to even handle anymore. Now, sure, you have some studios out there like the Walt Disney Company. They want to keep doubling down on their agenda. There are some instances where they are backing away from that, but not entirely. But we know that WB, they woke up. They want nothing to do with Robert De Niro. They want nothing to do with George Clooney. Alec Baldwin, the same exact thing. And we have a lot more to talk about him next week, so stay tuned. There are a lot of studios right now that don't want to work with him anymore. And there's a lot of drama happening in between Alec Baldwin and some very specific studios. We'll have a lot more to discuss on that in the coming days. But overall, Alec Baldwin, yet again, acting in a very insufferable way, almost as bad as Sharon Stone was, of course, not too long ago. And George Clooney, once again, I think that really, he opened up a can of worms once he opened his mouth back in June of this year. But on top of everything here, I would really, really love to hear what everyone has to say about Alec Baldwin and the whole George Clooney situation. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.